is that all big data is not the same. So now everyone's excited, big data, big data, big data, big data. People are going kind of nuts anytime they see a big data set. And one thing, and again, I want to keep in mind, you want to think through, anytime there's a data set, how good is this data? So I like to compare, there are these two enormous data sets on human beings. And social scientists are studying them more and more to get really new insights into who we are as human beings. We want to be very cautious that they give very, very different types of data. So you think about the two biggest data sets that have ever been collected on human beings. Number one is Google searches. That's what I've been talking about thus far. It's digital truth serum. People talk about racism, admit their racism and whether they're actually going to vote, and their thoughts of mental health problems or suicide, just this revolutionary insights into who we are as human beings. Compare that to maybe the other biggest data set that's ever been collected on human beings. That's their Facebook post, I would argue. So Facebook also, people post many times a day, hundreds of millions of people use it. It has this really rich data set into what people are thinking on at a given moment. But Facebook data, so Google digital truth serum, people are confessing what they really do in that white box. Do people think on Facebook people are confessing their true thoughts frequently? Not so much, right? So on Facebook, think about incentives. On Google, you type anything, nobody sees it. It's anonymous, it's a little white box, nobody sees it. On Facebook, everything you post, your friends all see, and your family all see. So that gives a very warped incentive to kind of say what you're really thinking. I, in fact, call Facebook digital brag to my friends about how good my life is serum. Because on Facebook, everybody wants to kind of show off to some degree, right? So you go through Facebook, and it seems like all your friends are in a luxurious hotel in the Caribbean. They're probably not. Although, actually, last week I gave this talk in a luxurious hotel at the Caribbean. So I'm like, actually, we are here. But frequently, they're not at luxurious hotels in the Caribbean. And we actually can compare the Facebook data and see just how misleading it is. So this is one of the examples I did, where you compare these two magazines, the Atlantic Monthly and the National Enquirer. So the Atlantic Monthly is a serious intellectual magazine. It includes philosophy and political theory and poems. And on the right, we have the National Enquirer. The National Enquirer is a celebrity, trashy, lowbrow, gossipy magazine. It says, this person now weighs 500 pounds, or that person just got divorced, kind of trash, I would say. So you've got Atlantic Monthly, highbrow, National Enquirer, lowbrow. We actually know how popular these two magazines are. They have data on how many copies of each magazine are sold. And it turns out that actual copies purchased, the National Enquirer is 3 times more popular than the Atlantic Monthly. So again, the National Enquirer is that celebrity lowbrow magazine. 3 times more people are reading the trash than the serious stuff. What do people think happens on Facebook when people say what like or share what magazine they like? Do they think the National Enquirer is still more popular? No. People think, what do you want your friends to think? That you're reading the Atlantic Monthly. So actually on Facebook, the Atlantic Monthly is more popular than the National Enquirer. In fact, on Facebook, the Atlantic Monthly is 45 times more popular than the Atlantic Monthly. So everybody wants their friends to think they're so intellectual, right? And it's actually interesting. So we've established there are these two data sets.